What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to Game Day with Trey. Of course, this is your host, Trey, and today we're going to talk about this NFL Sunday 1 p.m. matchup between my Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Detroit Lions. All right, so like I said, this game will kick off on Sunday, September 15th at 1 p.m. East Coast time. The line is set, Detroit minus 6.5. And it's since moved to Detroit minus 7.5, and the over-under is between 48.5 and 51, depending on where you're looking at right now. All right, so and this game, by the way, will be played from Ford Field in Detroit. All right, so let's take a look at what's going on with these two teams. So last week, Tampa Bay Buccaneers came out and they looked impressive. I'm not going to lie. Now, they were playing the Washington Commandos or Commanders, whatever you want to call them. But the offense did look impressive. All right. They were out to come out in the season opener and win 37-20 against the Jalen Daniels led offense by the Washington Commanders. All right, so Baker Mayfield threw for 289 yards and 4 touchdowns on 24 of 30 passing, while Bucky Irvin rushed for 62 yards on 9 carries. And Rachaad White had 31 rushing yards on 15 carries. Chris Godwin had a team-high 8 catches for 83 yards and a touchdown. Now that he's back in the slot, where we love to see Chris Godwin see God, you feel me? All right, and Rachaad White had 6 grabs for 75 yards. And we cannot forget about Mike Evans. Mike Evans added 5 receptions for 61 yards and 2 touchdowns, while Jalen McMillan, the rookie, added 32 yards and a touchdown grab. Now on defense, Jordan Whitehead led the Bucs with 8 total tackles, and Savasier Dennis and Joe Tryon-Shoyinka each had a sack as well in the winning effort. And love to hear JTS actually doing something out there on the field, because that young man been missing since he came in the league. That's why he doesn't have the contract extension right now, and he's playing on at the end of his rookie deal. Okay, because the Bucs did not pick it up. All right, or they picked up the 5th-year option, but they didn't extend it. All right, now when you're talking about a recap for Detroit last week, so the Lions coming to this one looking to build on their 26-20 season opening win over the Los Angeles Rams last time out. All right, Jared Goff threw for 217 yards, a touchdown, and an interception on 18 of 28 passing, while David Montgomery rushed for 91 yards and a touchdown. Jahmyr Gibbs also had 40 rushing yards and a touchdown for the Lions in the win. Jameson Williams led the Lions with 5 grabs for 121 yards and a touchdown, while Sam Laporta added 45 receiving yards as well in the winning effort. On defense, Alex Anzalone had a team-high 13 total tackles, including 10 solo tackles, while Carlton Davis III had 10 total tackles and 6 solo tackles. Kirby Joseph added an interception for the Lions to maintain and hold on to that win, guys. All right, so first thing you got to look at now that we are in week 2 of the NFL is the injuries. It's sad to say and it sucks, but you got to look at it because that's where the Bucs are at right now. William Golston is questionable and he's hobbled on it with an elbow injury. It remains to see if he'll take the field on Sunday. Luke Gadecki is with a concussion. It's questionable. Gadecki is battling a concussion and it's unclear if he'll take the field on Sunday. KJ Britt, he's got an illness. He's questionable. He's ailing from an illness, and of course unknown if he'll take the line, be in the lineup. Yaya Diaby, he's still got the ankle that he's hobbled by, and his availability against the Lions is yet to be determined. I do expect to see Yaya out there. Tyreek Funderburk, cornerback, he's also questionable and is hampered by a foot injury, and it's supposedly undetermined whether or not the young man will be out there. I honestly believe that he will be out there. Okay, because the Bucs need him. They suffered a lot of injuries last week. Bryce Hall, you saw him get carted off the field. He's out. Kalijah Cansey, he's out. Logan Hall, he's out. Logan Hall with the foot, Kalijah Cansey with the calf, and Bryce Hall with the dislocated ankle. And then we also got to understand that Antoine Winfield Jr. is questionable and is nursing an ankle injury and unknown if he'll actually suit up in this game. And that's a big loss for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers if you can't have him out there, because that means you got to go into the well. And because you already lost Logan Hall. So since you lost Logan Hall, not Logan Hall, but you already lost Kayvon Merriweather. I'm sorry, guys. You already lost one of the corners last week, and it looks like he'll be playing. Zion McCollum will be playing because he's not on the injury list. All right, but at the end of the day, that means he's hobbled. And Detroit last year, they exposed the Bucs in that nickel slot because they really didn't have anybody to play the nickel slot. That's why Tyreek Smith is going to be so important in this game. Now, when you look at Detroit and the Lions, of course, you got Isaiah Williams. He's battling an abdominal injury in his hand, and he's unclear if he'll play. He's questionable. Jameson Williams, he's questionable with an ankle injury. Kirby Joseph, a hamstring, he's questionable. Marcus Davenport, defensive lineman, the groin is questionable, hampered with that groin injury, and we still don't know if he will be active for the game on Sunday. Penei Sewell, tackle, is questionable and hampered with an ankle injury. It remains to see if he will actually be out there as well. You also have DJ Reader's questionable, defensive lineman. He missed the previous game nursing a quadricep injury. Broderick Martin, he's questionable with a leg injury. He hobbled by a leg injury, he missed the last game, so it's questionable whether or not he'll be out there. Lauren Strickland, all right, with the thumb, he's questionable. And Meli Fonowu, he missed the previous contest dealing with undisclosed injury, and it is up in the air whether or not he'll actually take the field either. All right, so when you're looking at these matchups and how these two teams played through 1 week going into week 2 of the NFL season, Tampa Bay Bucs scored 37 points. Detroit gave up 20 to the LA Rams. So that puts the Bucs at the number 2 offense in all of the NFL, whereas the Detroit Lions have the number 12th overall defense in the NFL, currently looking at points per game. Now, if you're looking at third down conversions, the Bucs are number 1 in the NFL, able to convert 69.23% of their third downs against the opposing defense of the Washington Commanders last week. Then while you look in the inverse, Detroit actually allowed the Rams to convert 41.67% of their third down conversions last week. All right, and that puts them at the 20th defense against the third down in the NFL. When you look at red zone scoring, Bucs were able to check that box. All right, in 60% of their red zone appearances. All right, that puts them at the number 11 total offense in the red zone in the NFL. 10 times better than last year. Light years better than last year, guys. Light years. All right. And if you're talking about Detroit's defense, though, Detroit defense was biting a little bit, man. They only allowed 40% of the opposing team's red zone attempts to actually meet the end zone and check that box, man. That puts them at the number 11 total defense in the red zone in the NFL. So that you got an intriguing matchup right there. Now let's go ahead and let's look at the inverse. So Detroit on offense scored 26 points last week. That's the number 13 total offense in all the NFL, whereas the Bucs gave up 20 points. So that puts them right around where they've been for the last 2 years as far as points they've given up, between 19 and 20, 21, stuff like that. On average, and that's the number 12 opposing defense in all of the NFL. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at the Detroit Lions third down conversions. So on third down, the Lions were able to convert 46.15% of their third downs. That puts them as the number 10 third down offense in the NFL. But when you're going against a Bucs team who only allowed Washington to convert 25% of their third downs, that puts the Bucs at the number 7 strongest defense on third down in the NFL. Now, when you're looking at red zone scoring, Detroit was able to capitalize on 50% of their red zone attempts. That puts them at the number 12 offense in the NFL as far as red zone is concerned. But then when you look at the Bucs held them down, man. 100% of the time that Washington got to the red zone, 100% of the time they ain't score. Okay, so that puts the Bucs at number 26 total offense against opposing. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me check that. I got that reversed. The Bucs allowed 100% of the red zone attempts to score. So that puts them at the 26th worst defense in the NFL as far as red zone is concerned. So if Detroit can get down the field and get in that position, they do have an ability to score. All right, because the Bucs did let up some easy ones last week. All right, now when you look at how these two teams rush and how they do against the run, all right, it's no shock, okay? The Detroit rushed for 5.3 yards per carry last week. That would put them at the number 6 total rushing offense in the NFL. The Bucs only gave up 4.6 though to opposing team, and that puts them as number 20. Now they do have more. They do have a dynamic backfield over there with Detroit. Not taking anything away from Jahmyr Gibbs or their other running back, but at the end of the day, you know, this is the Bucs defense and this is the Detroit Lions offense. And when you have Detroit Lions offensive line as strong as they are going against a Buccaneer defensive line that has certain injuries and certain injuries in the back there at corner and safety, man, this could be a tough game, guys. This definitely be a tough game. Definitely an opportunity for Detroit to come through in the clutch on this one. Just saying. Now, I'm not giving you the pick yet, but just saying it gives them a good opportunity. Hence why the line has moved. Remember, this line is up to 7.5 right now, and the line was at it was at -6.5 at one point. So the line is moving in Detroit's favor at this point in time, guys. All right, so when you look at how these two teams have done situationally, of course, we know that the Bucs are 1-0, and so is Detroit. We know both teams are 1-0 against the spread, and we know the Tampa Bay game did go over, whereas Detroit's game did go under, surprisingly. Very surprisingly last week, guys. At least to me, anyway. I expected more points in that game, okay? Now, when we look at the last 10 times the Bucs have been out there on the field, Bucs are 7-3 straight up, 6-4 against the spread, and 6 to the over, 4 to the under in the last 10 times that they have stepped out there on the football field. Last time these two teams did match up, remember, was on January 21st. Bucs lost 23-31, okay, in Detroit, and now they're back in Detroit. So that is something to take note of, guys. All right. Now, when you look at, and by the way, the Bucs did not cover. Detroit was giving up 6 in that game, and they won by 8. All right, so when you look at Detroit 7-3 straight up in the last 10 times they've been on the field, 8-2 against the spread, and 6 to the over, 4 to the under in their last 10 games, guys. They're on a 3-game cover streak against the spread, going back to the playoffs last year. They covered against Tampa, they covered against San Francisco, and then they just covered last week against the LA Rams. All right, so definitely want to take note of that, guys. All right, now you look head to head for these two teams since 2008 have met 10 times on the field. All right, of course, you know they met twice last season. They met in the playoffs and in the regular season. In Tampa, they beat the brakes off Tampa 20-6, and then in Detroit, they won 31-23. All right, they covered both games. The playoff game, of course, did go over the 49.5, and the regular season game went under the 43. Okay, so Detroit runs this series 6-4 straight up. Detroit runs it against the spread 6-4, and it's been 5 to the over, 4 to the under with 1 push in the last 10 times these two teams met. Now remember, like I said, they did meet last season in the playoff game. There was a total of 408 yards the Bucs did capitalize on. They only rushed for 89 yards, and that's what hampered them. And they had 319 passing yards, whereas they gave up 391 yards to Detroit in Detroit. The Lions ran for 114 yards, and Jared Goff passed for 277. So, you know, take that with a grain of salt as well, and understand that they can move the ball in this Buccaneer defense, at least the way it was constituted last year. Carlton Davis is now on the Detroit Lions instead of the Bucs, though, and the Bucs now have nickel corner. But the problem is, if Anton Winfield's missing, that could be major, guys. That could definitely be major. Definitely keep your eye on the injury report and see how things play out. All right, so trends on these teams is Tampa Bay Buccaneers have scored last in 13 of their last 18 games. Detroit Lions have hit the third quarter game total over in 12 of their last 13 games. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have covered the first half spread in 15 of their last 22 games, and the Detroit Lions have covered the spread in 16 of their last 21 games. Tampa Bay Buccaneers have covered the second quarter spread in their last 7 away games, and the Detroit Lions have covered the first half spread in 16 of their last 21 games. All right, now Tampa Bay Buccaneers have also hit the second half money line in 6 of their last 10 away games, whereas Detroit has hit the first half money line in 15 of their last 21 games. All right, so I mean, history shows that that Detroit's more of a first half team, but to be honest with you, I think that trend is going to change a little bit because Liam Cohen just seems like a million times better than old boy that's up there in Carolina right now. I ain't even gonna mention his name, but Dave Canales, Mr. cannot call a play in succession. Don't understand how you got that job, but it is what it is, right? So let's go ahead and let's look at the last portion of this matchup, guys. All right, and to be honest with you, man, I'm on the over here. All right, and I'm leaning with the Bucs plus the 7.5. All right, I just think that this is going to be a 3 to 4 point game, and I know that there's going to be points scored. So I don't know. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments. Please like, subscribe, share. Have a blessed day. Stay safe. Go Bucs. I'm gonna see you at the window. Peace.